9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Say his name and he appears. I believe it said.
What's up, good people? What's up? Happy Monday. This is the second time you guys have seen me today. And as promised, the Monday Nightmare Raw Watch Along is returned to your screens. It's back. I was supposed to give y'all a post show, the past 2 weeks, but I was working Monday Night Football and those games ran rather long, kind of messing up the time. I'm going to let y'all fill in the chats. Raw ended about maybe 45 minutes to an hour ago, and now we have a clearer picture of what we're getting next week in Boston on John Cena's final Monday Night Raw. We got an announcement for the Last Time Is Now tournament. I'd love to get you guys' thoughts about that. I showed up for WWT Live a little bit later. We're coming off the heels of Saturday night's main event where we crowned a new champion in CM Punk, who defeated Jey Uso. Some other stuff we talked about on live earlier, of course, the Cody Drew match. What's going on with the women's division, Force Jay taking on Tiffany and becoming the new women's champion. But we had an interesting Monday Night Raw. I would say just jumping ahead to what we have next week in a star-studded Monday Night Raw in Boston because it's John Cena's final Raw appearance. We're going to get the beginning of the tournament. We're also going to get a couple of title matches. Stephanie Vaquer taking on Raquel Rodriguez. I believe the women's tag titles are going to be in action against the Kabuki Warriors with Charlotte and Alexa. So it's going to be a really good Monday Night Raw. And it's a good Monday, of course, because my Pistons won and the Cowboys lost. Always a good time seeing the Cowboys lose. But we kicked off the show with the new champion, CM Punk, coming up to say pretty much take his victory lap. It's the second time he's held gold this year, and there's nobody there to kind of thwart his efforts because Seth Rollins is hurt. I like the promo for a number of reasons. I like that he seemingly shouted out everybody and gave them love. Shouting out AJ Styles. We know it's not going to happen, but shouting out John Cena, they were very adamant that CM Punk and John were touching for the final time earlier this year. So that's not going to happen. But him even putting the tea leaves out there like, hey, do you want to become an 18-time champion? Shouting out Dominic Mysterio, shouting out Finn, shouting out JD McDonough, who deserves more recognition as a singles wrestler because he's so awesome in the ring. That type of stuff makes me excited for this title run because I feel like CM Punk is going to do what we're seeing Becky Lynch do, which is like take on all challengers and build more of a treasure chest of options at the top of the men's division, which is it's needed. We don't see it happening on SmackDown with Cody's title. So hopefully CM Punk can continue to do that and bring more challengers to the plate and highlight more people that need to be highlighted. I think that's really what we're missing in WWE right now. But the promo was dope. Obviously, shout out his wife. Said he held the title for maybe 3 minutes before. And pretty much said, hey, whoever's next, like, I'm going to be a fighting champion. Come get some. And he was met by Logan Paul, who we haven't seen since its time taking on John Cena at Clash at the Castle, which, interestingly enough, wasn't received well by fans. I thought the best part of that segment was CM Punk kind of doing the Kevin Owens thing where it's like, I'm interjecting in these moments that are like unspoken and I'm supposed to be silent and just being not here for Logan Paul coming to the ring. Pretty much saying no. I love when we break the fourth wall like that. Let's just throw shit at the fan. Logan Paul made himself known. Kind of interesting space for Logan Paul. And yeah, Boza, they do have to pivot. But this was shortly followed by the Vision, Paul Heyman, introducing Bronson Reed, as well as Braun Breaker to the dance, saying they got next. Braun Breaker. I don't know how long this Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker thing is going to last because he's coming into his own, meaning that he's finding his voice on the mic, has found his character, what he does in the ring matches who his character is on the outside of the ring, and it's starting to work. Him saying that he's been waiting patient and the dog is not waiting anymore. Good stuff. If he's going to be the guy that we ride until WrestleMania, it makes sense. If he's the eventual Royal Rumble winner, it makes a lot of sense. But him coming to his own right now is like, I don't think what I like about this iteration of the division without Seth Rollins is I don't think Braun needs Heyman as a mouthpiece. He can just be there and say like, hey, I can't control this guy. He's off the rails, but he doesn't need him as a mouthpiece. Bronson Reed needs Heyman a little bit more as a mouthpiece at this juncture. But with what we just saw ending Monday Night Raw, man, I'm starting to think that Braun is going to step into that role that Seth was in now that we're going to seemingly have a new member of the division, because somebody like Logan Paul is going to need that mouthpiece even more than Braun Breaker right now, because Logan Paul has, for everything he does great in the ring, he doesn't really draw interest as far as like when he's on your television screen, and you guys know what I'm talking about. At the same time, he's phenomenal in the ring. If you just have somebody kind of put him over, like a Paul Heyman, be his mouthpiece and say like he's the next one up, the next guy, it makes a lot of sense. But in this first segment, it came to blows. Logan Paul left CM Punk high and dry, had a change of heart, jumped in the ring, tried to make a save, and he ended up eating a tsunami for it before CM Punk can make the save with the steel chair. Interesting moment, and this callback is interesting from what we saw at the end of Monday Night Raw, just because this is kind of the same reason why you can look at Seth Rollins kind of forgive and forgetting and recruiting Bronson Reed into the division. Bronson damn near decapitated Seth Rollins with tsunamis. I believe like 7 of them. But that ass whooping after the rivalry was over, you can say turned into respect. So you can look at Logan Paul's ending of Monday Night Raw and say like, hey, like I try to throw hands. If you can't beat them, let's join them. That ass whooping earned my respect. I would love nothing more than to be a part. And people speculated whether that was going to be like Austin Theory. Could have been cool for Austin, but if you really want to hate the Vision, which I know we were singing, fans were singing Seth Rollins' song still and stuff like that. We love Braun Breaker. We love the Bark. We love the Tribal Thief. We love the Shula Fala and the Tsunamis. This is going to really make you hate the Vision. This is going to make you kind of think twice and be like, yeah, I don't really want them on my TV. I'm going to boo as loud as I can because of what we saw. One thing I will note about this early segment, we really, whose music hit? I think it was Braun's music. Yeah. With the sirens and stuff, or maybe it was just a cappella with Paul Heyman. But if we don't get a music change for Braun Breaker to like some DMX, you pick the record, something like that, we're missing the mark here. When that man goes on his own and starts selling out arenas, being the biggest draw on the card, get that man some DMX. Let's go ahead and do that. We move into our first action of the night. Stephanie Vaquer teaming up with Nikki Bella, who's dropped a couple matches to Roxanne Perez against the Judgment Day. And honestly, I think they added too much to Stephanie's entrance. I don't think we need the bomb sound. I don't think we need the pyro. The flames are cool, but it's like I think we did too much from her natural aura coming out. Like we didn't really need to add that much. Stephanie is dope on her own, and I think we're kind of diluting her entrance now. But Vaquer and Bella have had a mutual respect for each other the past few weeks. You see Nikki almost kind of groveling up to Stephanie. I feel like that's going to lead into like a title shot. I do respect what Nikki's doing because she's really a fly on the wall in this women's division. Most people come back and it's like all about them. They have a big match. Nikki's kind of just been here to the point where you just kind of almost forget that, oh yeah, she's actually a part of the roster and on a run right now. It's not really like a farewell tour. It's like, I'm just here trying to keep up. Kind of what Trish did a couple years ago, but I think Trish was in the main storyline that entire time. Nikki's not. She's just here, which I really respect that because it's helping elevate the rest of the division and give a platform to these ladies. But the match was dope. Like I said, we're going to see Vaquer take on Raquel next week for the title. We know Roxanne had a title match a couple weeks back. She dropped to Stephanie, but I said that Raquel should be the Achilles heel for Stephanie early on. And I think if we get that here, whether it's not clean finishes for a while, we can run this back, because when these ladies got into the ring in this tag match, you can see the chemistry. You can see the contrast in style, because Stephanie works great with almost everybody. But having somebody that really just is like, what, a foot, if not 2 feet taller than her, and having to overcome that kind of brings out more of what Stephanie can do in the ring and really showcases her skill set. And since Raquel's been so dope in the ring for like the past 3 months or so, it's really time to push that button and really give her a platform as a single star. And I can't wait to see that match. However, the Judgment Day were victorious. Roxanne picked up yet another pinfall over Nikki Bella after a stiff right jab to Nikki Bella when she was trying to get a cover, and Stephanie was taken out of action at the wayside. So Judgment Day pick up another win, and they're riding high. I thought it was a great match to open the show. The ladies did leave their mark tonight outside of what the men did. Great energy in this match. Backstage after this, you saw a meeting of the minds, I guess, between Jey Uso and CM Punk. Jey is kind of in a weird space, because I know after that loss, he put up on the stories like the middle finger and said, like, y'all got it, man. F y'all. So I guess this is this period of Jey where it's like, I don't care what the fans think. I don't care what Roman thinks, or my brother. Even Punk alluding to calling him Baby Roman. He's like, nah, I'm my own man. And he wants to help out CM Punk. I'm really wondering where Big Jim was at tonight. That's interesting. No Big Jim tonight. Of course, Roman said, I don't want to see y'all until Christmas. So I don't expect him until the next main event, if not War Games. But Jey said he felt like in his heart he needed to help out Punk. Now we have a tag match between those two in the Vision later on tonight. Next action, Penta, who was not victorious in the Intercontinental title match on Saturday night's main event, took on El Grande Americano. Great match. Probably match of the night. Los Americanos were ringside with him, Bravo and Rayo. Penta was able to kind of thwart all of these guys, even with the influence of interference. So I thought it was a good match. I honestly, it's the first time I've seen El Grande Americano lose. I don't think I've seen Big Grande, excluding the Chad Gable version. I don't really think I've seen Big Grande lose at all. So this was history that was made tonight, with Penta being the first to pin Big Grande. With the Mexican Destroyer, keep in mind the metal plate was in the forehead. I think that's the first time we've seen somebody counter the metal plate headbutt. So it was creative, and the Mexican Destroyer was hit, and Penta was able to reign victorious. I think Penta is going to be a big name to watch in this John Cena tournament. He wasn't announced tonight, but I'm pretty sure he'll get a match. But it's kind of interesting to see El Grande Americano drop a match, especially since we have the Speed tournament taking place on NXT television. So interested to see what's next for Big Grande. If you saw the footage over the weekend from the AAA event, El Grande Americano is still beloved in AAA. Probably he's not even a baby face, but he's one of the biggest stars there. But we'll have to see where this goes and what they continue to do with Los Americanos. Of course, if it is Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, what it means, if they'll actually get tag team shots or get matches, I have no idea. What's going to happen, but I think it's just a good bounce back win for Penta, especially after dropping the Dom. We're going to keep doing the Dom thing. Next up, we got Dom coming to the ring, pretty much celebrating his successful title defense. And this was probably, for me at least, when I got out of my seat, because it's the moment of the night. This moment, this war words, we finally got Rey Mysterio, who they did announce was cleared. He was injured the night before, or he was declared injured the night before WrestleMania earlier this year in April. So he's been on action since then. He's been on television. He was at Worlds Collide in LA Money in the Bank weekend for the first AAA event, but he hasn't been in action. So it's the first time we've seen him in action since before Mania. He confronted Dom. They had a war words where Rey is taking a little bit of problems with Dom calling himself the king of the luchadores. Here's what stands out to me. And this is like my tinfoil hat last time is happening now. Like we know AJ Styles will retire next year. Rey Mysterio will probably retire next year too. He pretty much said that he cannot be the king of the luchadors as long as he's around. He can never be the greatest Mysterio as long as he's around. So lets me know we just dropped the bomb right there that Dom has to get his dad up out of here to be the Mysterio name in the sport of wrestling going forward. So I don't think it happens anytime soon. They mixed it up. Dom got hit with a 619, escaped before anything can happen. But I think we just dropped the tea leaves for another Mania match for Dom. A big match if it's in Vegas, and possibly Rey Mysterio's last match where he gives his mask to his son and retires. And I think he would love nothing more to do that, especially with this fame that Dom has. Him saying he's better than El Santo, Blue Demon, and even his father, Eddie Guerrero. Him saying, keep my father's name out of your mouth. Big pop. Big pop for that. We love long-term storytelling. But this is going to be one of the big matches where it's like, I won't let you disrespect Lucha Libre. I think it will be smart for them to put this on a AAA card, but we know we're going to hold it for WrestleMania. Maybe they have a tag team match or something in AAA just to keep the story alive for like the next several months. But I am pretty much foreshadowing the fact that Rey Mysterio is going to wrestle his last match next WrestleMania. Keep him in bubble wrap till then, but this Dom versus Rey stuff for the last time, I think Rey has beaten him in singles action quite a few times. He might be 2-0, if not. No, sorry. He might be like 3-1 or 3-2 against Dom. But yeah, I think it's time. And I think the final one is going to come soon. And this was like a great pause on everything we've been seeing from the action of the night. And yeah, I think that was a good treat for the fans in New Mexico as well. This being the first Monday Night Raw in that region in New Mexico, I thought that was pretty cool. Next up, we had Becky Lynch crashing out in the middle of the show, telling Joe Tessitore to shut up, even shouting out Breaking Bad, which is fun to see, saying that the only thing this town is popular for is a show about the meth that they do. I thought that was pretty cool. But Becky Lynch crashing out about her husband being hurt, the Vision, her role in the Vision pretty much being no more, a shady ref, which hopefully there's something still there with Jessica Carr where they have a match, and of course Maxine Dupree. Becky Lynch put up over so many people in just this one rant in this world that she's created of the Intercontinental title. I think we're going to see her really make Maxine Dupree a star. Same with Jessica Carr as a performer. And I think there's still something to be said for what's going on with the Vision when we get back around, when Seth eventually comes back. But I think her dropping the mic saying, welcome to the big time, we're going to start seeing Becky Lynch do some more of her best work as we close out the year. And honestly, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad if she held the title through the end of the year and then you give Maxine that moment at the Royal Rumble in Saudi or something like that. But I like that she was a part of the show. I like that she pretty much shouted out the relevance of New Mexico for all you Breaking Bad fans, but just consistently showcasing how she's one of the best promos in wrestling, not just women's wrestling, in wrestling, and how she can kind of get people over without having to do much in ring. I thought that was perfect. That was perfect. And if they ever get back around to it with Becky and Nikki Bella, I think that's a good thing that they can do either without the belt, and maybe it'll help Nikki Bella's kind of footing. Nikki had a moment backstage with Stephanie where she felt like she was kind of slowed down. She's the reason that Raquel and Steph are going to have to face each other next week. And it was kind of weird because Stephanie was leaving the building and she wouldn't flag her down, still in her ring gear. So we might actually get Nikki Bella turning heel at some point. I feel like it. That would be a good rivalry for Steph if they do it. But her feeling like she can't keep up, like she's old and washed, keep an eye on that. That definitely stood out to me, that we're getting this like, oh, I respect you so much. And then it's like, oh, well, you're Nikki Bella. You have this name value. And it's like, eventually that's going to come to a head. Bayley and Lyra Valkyria versus Asuka and Kairi Sane, of course. Bailey and Lyra did not become tag team champions. Now it seems like the Kabukis are next up for a shot next week. They would defeat Bailey and Lyra after Bailey went ape shit, and she's been working so well lately, but got isolated on the outside, which led to Asuka being able to tap Lyra. Didn't think that Lyra would be here. It feels like she's in kind of a holding pattern where I thought it was time for Lyra to wrestle for the big belt. I honestly did. And maybe since Stephanie is the champion, we can't do that right now. I don't know if Lyra can get sent to SmackDown to be one of Jade's challengers. That might be fun. Or even do some more stints in NXT now that Tatum is the champion and she can be around Tatum, because it feels like eventually the culling is going to kick Tatum out and besties and stuff like that. But Lyra tapping here to, I mean, of course it's Asuka, so no shade there. They've been really pushing Asuka since Goldberg been a hoe. Yeah, I just don't see how that benefits Lyra. Now, I don't think we're going to do the thing where we might get Bailey blaming Lyra on programming next week, maybe. But Lyra feels like she's in a weird spot where she was doing all this workhorse stuff. She's working matches, not winning much, but to take the pin here, and also tap in the same breath, I just don't know where we go from here. Charlotte and Alexa eventually make the save when it seems like the Kabukis are going to attack Lyra again. And now we know that the Kabukis are going to challenge Charlotte and Alexa next week, because the Kabukis took out everybody a week ago except Bailey, which is causing Bailey some mental anguish, because we got to see if that damage control bond still lives. Of course, Io is out of the family. Maybe they do welcome Bailey back. Io had a dope match in Japan. I don't think that was over the weekend. It was last week. So that explains why Io was not on the show tonight. Not sure why Rhea wasn't on the show as well. But we got the tag team titles on the line next week. And if you're asking me, I think the Kabukis need to win it. They would make more sense if they win it. Backstage, we saw the Judgment Day. Dom pretty much upset about his dad kind of taking his shine again, trying to blame Finn and JD for not being there. And Finn and JD said, like, hey, you weren't there. We got to go get our tag team titles back. And then Roxanne pretty much calming Dom down, saying some nice words to him to go be in the corner of Finn and JD as they take on Phenomenal Lee for the tag team titles in their rematch. This is a good match as well. Don't know why. I don't know how long we do it. Like, I like that CM Punk kind of subbed AJ Styles. I hope we do get a couple matches with Punk and Styles for the title over these next few months. This seems like, I feel like the tag division is so beneath AJ Styles, but it's a good way to help elevate Dragon Lee, who kind of needed somebody by his side, especially since Ray has been hurt, to kind of do exactly this. Great match overall. AJ Styles picks up the pin for his team. JD McDonough looked great again. Dom tried to get involved and help in this match, and only for Sheamus to come and take him out and get involved enough to where Phenomenal Lee can retain their title. So that lets me know that Sheamus is probably going to be somebody that ends up going for Dom Mysterio for the title, especially for the belt that he's never won. But Sheamus has a date with Shinsuke Nakamura next week, which is surely to be a banger. I can't remember these two guys ever really working with each other. But it should be a great match. One that I don't feel like Shinsuke is going to win. Sheamus and John do have a history together, so just toss that up. Just toss it up until we find out who else are the other competitors this Friday on SmackDown. But Dom is going to be busy going forward, because he's going to have Penta coming after him. Looks like Sheamus. I don't doubt that Dom's going to be in this tournament for John Cena as well. And now his Pop's coming after him too. And I'm pretty sure JD and Finn are going to blame Dom for his help or just getting in the way of them retaining the titles. The Usos. Jey Uso and CM Punk versus The Vision. Another match where The Vision is closing out the show. I know everybody loves that. But a little bit of a weird ending. we didn't see a definitive winner here. We saw the men fight to the very end and get double counted out until they started fighting some more. To the point where Breakker and Braun got the upper hand, started taking everybody out. Paul Heyman's orchestrating. Jay takes a spear, takes a tsunami. Logan Paul comes out to seemingly get some revenge after Punk gets a chair to make the save for him the same way Punk made the save for Paul at the beginning of the show. Had his brass knucks on, and I think this was very telegraphed, but he knocks out CM Punk and then hands those brass knuckles to Paul Heyman. I think Paul Heyman said earlier in the show he sees somebody in the chat. Somebody help me. I think he said he saw a bitch with no owner or something like that earlier in the show. So I hate how much this makes sense to me. He handed over the brass knucks, and pretty much Paul was like, "Hey, if he hits me, you guys kill him." Logan Paul, pretty much bending the knee and bowing his head to the Vision, pretty much saying like, "Hey, I want to be down. I want to be down." And I think with the Vision, the whole thing, like Becky was the fourth man then, but there was always speculation about like who is the other young upstart we're going to add. That's how the Austin Theory rumor started. So with Logan Paul, who I think he took that L to John Cena, thank God. I think he definitely has like marquee matches every year, but he's just like kind of like right here, not getting over the hump. I don't think anybody wants to view him as a world champion. I think you can allow Paul Heyman to allow us to ease up to the idea, if that makes sense. Like when Logan Paul speaks, he's gotten better on the mic. It just nobody cares. Nobody cares. So Paul Heyman can be that bridge to getting us to actually care about his pedigree and his potential as a performer and as a character on the show. And if Braun and Bronson are just nerfing everybody and Logan Paul is coming and just doing the knockout punch afterwards, you can milk that for a while as like the heels, because Logan's going to make sure the Vision is actually hated, that we really don't want them around. What I'm interested to see is if the inclusion of Logan Paul makes Braun Breaker take a step back as the next person we view as a world champion, because we know TKO is like, oh, if it makes dollars, it makes sense. Like all this following, the podcast, the Prime bottles, everything we bring that brings viewership and a secondary, tertiary value. Are they going to put that value in Logan Paul to say like, okay, we want this guy to be our champion at some point sooner rather than later, because now we got the best mouthpiece ever propping him up. It's very interesting. Very interesting. And I kind of like it for the Vision because it gives him a third man and adds another layer of legitimacy to the faction. I think, yes, Boza, I think it would help for Survivor Series War Games, because if you saw the poster, the Vision, the Brawns are on the front of the poster for War Games. So could Logan Paul join that team, do something dope off the top of the cage? But I don't think this is a short-term move. I think this is a long-term move to help stabilize the Vision with another mouthpiece and another young talent. You can say like, hey, this is the future of pro wrestling. Because Logan Paul has been saying that himself for like the past, I don't know how many years, 2 or 3, and we don't care. Paul Heyman automatically adds credibility and can help get Logan Paul over with the fans to not have so much go away heat. And when you think about like the next young up and coming talent, like the Brawns, Dom, whoever else you can think of in the company, like people like Rhea, things like that, Logan Paul is kind of there too. He just doesn't show up as often. I know this is supposed to be like a full-time run for him and not just like an appearance basis now. This will allow him to be on programming kind of in the background, doing the dastardly things as a part of a meaningful faction that goes against the CM Punks, the Jey Usos, the LA Knights, and things like that. I want to hate it, but it's such a smart move. It's one of the smartest things that the WWE has done in recent months. So buckle up, guys. Looks like we got another member of the Vision. And next week, we're going to get John in Boston, in the hometown. And we're going to see Damian Priest take on Rusev as a part of the Last Time Is Now tournament. You're going to see Shinsuke Nakamura and Sheamus as a part of the Last Time Is Now tournament. And then Nick Aldis is going to announce 2 more matches next week. You're going to see Stephanie Varkur taking on Raquel Rodriguez for the women's title. And you're also going to see Charlotte and Alexa defending the women's tag team titles against the Kabuki Warriors. It's an interesting time for wrestling. They're going to absolutely stack this Raw card. I think since the 3 hours have kind of jumped down to 2-ish, 2.5, I think next week's Raw is going to absolutely be a 3-hour show, especially since it's going to be John's last Monday Night Raw appearance. But until then, y'all, that's going to be a dope show. This is a dope show that will definitely lead to more questions the rest of the week as we learn more about the Vision. If you see some social media videos with Logan Paul, with Paul Heyman later this week, do not be surprised. Do not be surprised. Boza says history will be made next week. Either Sharbliss will make their record-breaking 6th defense, or the Kabuki Warriors become the first 3-time WWE Tag Team Champions. I have to double-check that stat. Maybe as a team. They've had that, but I know the most title holds for a tag team belongs to Raquel Rodriguez. She's held the tag team titles more than anyone else. But appreciate y'all rocking with me. It's a little bit late tonight. It's 9:00 Pacific time. So we're going to get at y'all for WWT Live on Wednesday. Thank you for being the best part of the Women's Wrestling Talk Network and universe. I am your mayor. This is your Monday Night Raw post show. We'll be back next week. Thank you guys for tuning in to the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet. See y'all next time.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.